Civi. Ever wondered what the deal is with interracial relationships? You know, when people from different races get together, have they always been taboo? Are they more common now than ever before? And what do we mean anyway by interracial relationships? Well, according to a 2021 study, 17% of U.S. adults had been in an interracial or interethnic relationship at some point in their lives, which means that nearly 1 out of every 6 of us has had an interracial partner at some point. This disapproval is more pronounced among older Americans and those who identify as very religious. However, younger generations are more accepting of interracial relationships than previous generations were at the same age. There is no right or wrong answer. It is also important to remember that everyone is an individual, and we should treat each other with respect regardless of our race or ethnicity. This disapproval is more likely due to societal and cultural factors than to any real biological differences between races. Ultimately, it is up to each individual to decide who they want to date. And we should all strive to be accepting and respectful of others, regardless of their race or ethnicity. Historically, interracial relationships have been a point of contention in many societies. The idea of race itself is relatively new, having been invented only a few hundred years ago. For example, a 2017 study found that interracial couples are more likely to be perceived negatively by society than same-race couples. In addition, interracial couples are also more likely to face discrimination in housing, employment, and public accommodations. For most of human history, there was no such thing as race. People were simply categorized as black or white. But as time went on, more categories were added, such as Asian, Hispanic, and Native American. And then even more specific categories, like Middle Eastern and North African. In fact, interracial couples may actually be more biologically compatible than those who are the same race because they have more genetic differences, which can lead to stronger immune systems for their offspring. A 2020 study found that children born to interracial couples have a lower risk of chronic conditions such as asthma and diabetes. These categories are not based on any kind of scientific or biological evidence, but rather on social and cultural factors. Despite the fact that race is a social construction, it has very real consequences for people's lives. So what do people think about interracial relationships? Well, a 2019 Pew Research Center survey found that nearly half of Americans disapprove of interracial marriage. From a biological standpoint, there is no reason why two people of different races cannot have a successful relationship. Scientific studies aside, it's really up to each individual to decide what they feel comfortable with when it comes to dating outside of their race. In conclusion, interracial relationships are becoming more common, but they are still frowned upon by many people. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did, please subscribe and leave a like.